Marcus.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Marcus Zollicoffer. I am a Merit America alumni. Graduated February of 2021. So I guess, yeah, my stint through was August of 2020 through February of 2021. I was actually in the Java track when I was at Merit America, but slowly started to kind of switch over more to the IT side of things as switched jobs and kind of really figured out what I wanted to do. So that's how I ended on this side. But I'm gonna go ahead and see, get this slide going real quick. There we go. All right, can everybody see that? Thumbs up. See, okay. All right, so this is my face. I'm Marcus. So like I said, yeah, I was born and raised in Durham, North Carolina. That's where I am right now. I'm a husband. I'm a father of 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. Young kids as well. I think that's very pivotal information for my journey. So my son is 6, my daughter's 4, and my youngest son is 3. And so currently I work at a company called the Financial Risk Group. It's based in Cary, North Carolina. I'm in what they call their NEAT program. So like I said, I started my track off in the Java program with Merit America. And actually my first job that I landed was as a technical support engineer. And I was working my way to be an engineer as well. So after that job is when I decided I wanted to transition more into the IT field because I changed what my long-term goals were going to be. So with this job, they have a NEAT program, and essentially they help get you certifications and certain trainings to do a specific job. And so that's what the NEAT program is for them. And so like I already said, I graduated American in 2021. And a little bit about myself, kind of fun things. So like I said, after my morning chaos of getting 3 kids together to go to school, my day usually consists of strengthening my knowledge in SaaS platforms. So that's one of the technologies right now that I'm learning in SaaS administration, and definitely a lot of meetings regarding financial risk, because they are a financial risk company. And so one thing you may learn, depending on what company you end up with, a lot of them like you kind of like dive into kind of like what their strengths are as well. So trust and believe a lot of this job is learning, whether it's kind of learning a little bit of a completely new skill that may not directly have to do with tech or IT, as much as learning new technologies to kind of further your knowledge. So how did I kind of get to this track? All right. So COVID pandemic for me was one of the big factors for me. So I faced unforeseen challenges leading to loss of my job. So my job at that time was actually as a bartender. I had been a bartender for about 7, 8 years on and off by that point. And of course, pandemic, most of the restaurants shut down. So that left me at home kind of trying to figure out what's my next track going to be. I wanted to find a job that was going to give me a lot more stability. And this is something I had already been trying to do anyway. But in that time with being at home, it was a good time for me to sit down and actually reflect and think about what I wanted to do. Like I said, it was a time period of introspection. And that's when I discovered Merit America, or like I like to tell people, actually, I feel like Merit America discovered me. Because don't tell them this, but I don't remember applying to Merit America, but for somehow they emailed me. And I don't know if anybody else has had the same experience, but for me, during that time, I think I thought it was a scam originally, because it was a program that felt like it was tailored directly to my situation. I've been to college, but I didn't graduate. I had some little bit of technical skills, and the whole thing for me of, it was affordable. So all that to me at the time, I was like, I don't know if this is completely legit or not, but I'm gonna find out. And actually, one way I found out is I think Merit America did two things. One, they were in the local news here, talking about being a part of the workforce, helping train people for tech jobs that's coming in this area. I'm near the Research Triangle area, and at the time we had Google, Apple were planning to move to this area. So that was a green flag for me. And then also, I believe Merit America posted one of their alumni on LinkedIn. I found that alumni on Twitter, messaged her, and just asked her a few questions. Said, "Hey, can you tell me about this program?" Just kind of let me know it was a real thing. So that's how I ended up actually going through with Merit America. And I chose the Java program when I was in. I'm pretty sure, like a lot of you guys know, it's very hard. I don't know if most of you have any technical background, but it was something that was definitely new for me. I was definitely a fish out of water, or a blank canvas, as you'll call it, because I didn't know anything. But through the training and dedication efforts, I acquired the skills that I needed to keep pushing forward. And the biggest thing for me is once I accomplished the program, regardless if I felt like I was ready right at that moment, I knew for a fact in my head, I could do this job. No matter where I go, I feel like I could do, if I can get through this, if I can, keep coming back each week, keep doing the assignments each week, I can do this. And so that was a big confidence booster. So after graduation, and this is a big thing, part of my growth. So a couple people in my cohort did land jobs immediately after graduation. I was not one of them. I did not land my first job until February of 2022. So actually a full year later for me personally. Once again, there were plenty of people that landed jobs right after. There's a couple of people that landed the jobs a few months after. There's a couple of people that landed the jobs around the time that I landed my job. So just give you, like, I was not the most knowledgeable person in my cohort. I was the person that felt like I had the biggest learning curve. A couple of guys had done little technical jobs here and there, or maybe have gone to a boot camp here and there before, or maybe did some just self-taught things. But for me, Merit America was my very, very, very first time diving into, for me, coding, essentially. So that kind of lets you know, it is, if you are somebody that feels like, you know what, I'm completely switching careers, I'm coming from something that's opposite of this, you can do it. It very much is possible. You do have to stay diligent. You do have to keep pushing your learning, but it definitely can happen. So one thing that helped me kind of get to that point is I had this mentality of, I'm going to say yes to everything. I don't know if y'all have ever seen that movie, Yes Man. That was my mantra. Whatever anybody told me to do, I was going to say yes. So anytime Merit emailed me about a seminar or event, I went. Anytime they emailed me about, hey, we want you to be a part of this program, they're helping people find jobs, I did it. So I responded to any and everything at the time, because, I mean, what else do I have to lose? If, they are going to work this hard to get me a job, I'm going to work this hard to be present and available to get the job. One thing that was mentioned to us was, like, use your network, talk to people, let people know what you're doing. And so I did that. I went on LinkedIn before Merit America. I think I may have used LinkedIn 2 times before that point. But of course, going through the program, I got my LinkedIn page looking presentable, and I just reached out to some people. I just said, hey, this is what I'm doing. And if there was anybody that worked in the IT field, whether I had a close connection to them or not, I just at least said hi. I just want to let you know this is what I'm doing. If you ever have a moment to talk, just please let me know. We can either meet on a Zoom call, Google Meet, or it could just be through this chat message. Whatever it is, just have a moment for me to ask a few questions. That would be great. The thing that I found out, it was a guy I had known previously. I didn't know he was a engineer. I didn't know he was in that field. And I reached out to him on this principle. I told him, hey, I'm going through this program. It's really, really tough. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I really just need somebody I can vent to. somebody I can ask very, very, very dumb questions to. Because when you're going through some certain things, especially learning something completely new, I can understand that feeling of like feeling like you can't ask a question that maybe you think everybody already knows. You think maybe I'm the only person that's asking this question. So I told him, I said, I just need somebody to vent to and maybe even ask questions that may seem dumb, but just that person. And he was like, absolutely. And it ended up being, I messaged him one time, messaged him 3 times, then we got each other's number. And then we just started setting up like at least 2 times a month to meet on Google Meet just to go over things. Just whatever I'm going over in class at the time, just let me just run this by you. And he even admitted to me, he doesn't know all the answers. He's not familiar with all the technologies. Some technologies that I was going through, he wasn't sure, but he showed me what it looked like for somebody to say, hey, you know what, we're gonna figure this out. He'll get on the computer and say, all right, so let's figure this part out, and we work through something together. That's a big thing, because even when you land your job, everybody there don't know everything. Sometimes you're going to reach out to somebody, they're going to say, I'm not sure, but we can figure it out. And then you work through it together. So that was big for me. From this last bullet, the biggest thing that helped me grow was to keep an open mind. I did not want to pigeonhole myself into any particular idea of what I think I need to do. I told myself, if somebody suggested, hey, look into this program or look into this path, or have you tried this? My thought was, no, I haven't. I'm going to look into it. If it's something that wasn't for me, it wasn't for me. But I always told myself I was going to look into it. So part of my struggle, it's like I said, I'm a husband and father. So I have 3 very, very young kids. Also during the time I was going through the program, I was unemployed. And so the unemployment was a gift and a curse at the same time. It gave me time to sit and focus and study. But at the same time, it was that struggle of, all right, am I doing enough to help my family? Is what I felt like. So, that's as much of a mental struggle. I felt like I wasn't getting it all the time. So now, am I helping my family? And am I actually going to achieve this goal, or am I wasting my time? A lot of self-doubt, a lot of a lot of up and downs. There were certain days where I may have figured out something very technical that I hadn't figured out before, felt good. And next day when I'm feeling high and I got this, and then they throw something at me and I have completely no clue what you're talking about. None whatsoever. So a lot of those up and downs, like I said, I'm pretty sure nowadays a lot of people struggle for some form of ADD. I'm the same way. So finding that will to want to sit at my computer and read through something, want to sit at my computer and troubleshoot something when the entire day I've been chasing my son around, dealing with mood swings all day. Sometimes, maybe even an argument with my wife. I mean, because of course things like that happen. And then saying, all right, now do I want to sit down here and look at the screen for a couple hours and figure out this assignment? The answer was always no. But I got myself into the habit of actually doing it, even when I didn't feel like it. Found my little tricks to kind of get through it. And I told myself, you know what, what do I have to lose? I'm in this position now, so I'm going to see this thing through. It was just that mindset of telling myself I'm going to see this thing through. So I stayed consistent, and I kept pushing through. But definitely a lot of mental struggles. Personally, for me, was my big thing. And so now I got to the point where at least I've landed 2 jobs. I landed a job with a startup, like I said, in February of 2020. That startup lasted as long as it could till September of 2022. Of September 2022, recession and things happened. A lot of companies laid people off, so that happened. So I was one of the people that was laid off in 2022 from my job. But then I had another opportunity. I said, okay, I've learned a lot, a bit more. I've at least landed a job, and I saw the inner workings of what these jobs are like. What do I want to do? For me, I told myself, you know what? I have no desire to build websites or even work on websites. I definitely have no desire for any front-end engineering. I like back end a bit. I really like working in a terminal. And so I just kind of started looking into my next things, just, through whether it's YouTube, whether it's forums, Discord, a lot of Discord channels I joined, talking to people, and I learned about penetration testing. I'd never heard this term before a day in my life. I learned about, what was it, social engineering. Never heard that term a day in my life. I have a theater background. I do improv. You telling me you can pay me to get on the phone and trick somebody and make them think I'm something else? That sounds fun. But that was just for me, my personal little thing that I said, you know what, I want to look into more on the IT side now, the system administration side now. And so that's what I started doing. So from that point, I felt like I had the necessary tools from going through Merit America to say, I can figure this out. I can figure out a lesson plan for myself. I know where to go and look. I know how to, socialize and use some of my networking tools that I learned from Merit America to pivot a little bit. And so that's exactly what I did. I found as much resources as I possibly could. I figured out what is the base knowledge that I need to know. What are the things that I need to know? Whether it was listening to lectures and hearing certain trigger words over and over again. Okay, I keep a mental note of that. Let me write that down. That's something I need to look up. Okay, I keep a mental note of that. Let me write that down. Is this important for me to know right now? Is this something I may need to push off to later? Because unless I know this knowledge, then there's no point of having this knowledge, if that makes sense. So then that's what I kind of started doing. So in doing that, at least for the next, it was probably like 4 or 5 months, applying to jobs over and over again, going through the interview process. That's another thing. The interview process in itself is a skill. If nobody has told you, the interview process in itself is a skill. You learn the necessary skills to do the job. The skills to actually go through an interview can be completely different. So I kept applying, and I may have gotten like a few actually principal system administration job interviews. I am completely underqualified for that in my head, but I was going to go on an interview anyway because each interview taught me a little bit more. Each question the interviewer asked me taught me a little bit more. Same thing. It was something they asked me, and I'm honest in the interview. I say, I don't know what that is, but it's something I definitely could find out. Did I get the job? No, but I wrote the question down. I researched the question. I said, okay, I've heard this question, or I've heard this statement, I've heard whatever this is multiple times. This is some information I know I need to lock in for the next interview. And I kept doing it over and over again. And actually came down to the job I have now and another job. I actually got an offer from both jobs. I chose this one because for me, this one had the most upside in kind of my training, my learning, and where I could go. Whereas the other one for me felt more like a dead end. I could get to a certain position, but maybe there'd be a lot more, maybe the best way I say it is politics to kind of move forward. And I didn't want to go through that. But say all that to say, I take all these steps to get to my ultimate career goal. Once I figured out I wanted to kind of get into penetration testing, I knew how to pivot into the IT track. I knew how to use my skills that I learned from Merit America to grow my knowledge and to keep pushing. And then it landed me the next job from there. That's it for the presentation side of it. I'm more of a conversationalist, so I'm definitely hoping you guys have some questions, because I would love to talk and answer some things.
Yes, we did get a couple of questions in the
Okay.
chat. The first one is, can IT be hectic and fast-paced, meeting KPIs and such?
Yes, it can. And it all depends on the job you have. Some can be very, very fast paced. So there was one job, it was a very, very small company. I believe it would have been just me and one other guy would have been the guys. So everything go through both of us. Any issue go through both of us. Any update go through both of us. Anything is going to go through us. But then there are some companies, and usually these are larger companies, where you have whole big teams. It's a little bit more slower. You have a little bit more time to kind of get familiar with things. So yes, it can, but it usually all depends on where you land. And there's benefits in both, because if you feel like, you know what, I don't really want that pressure right now off the bat to, have to, learn kind of as I go, or be thrown into the fire, then you don't have to. I would say, honestly, maybe going to the smaller companies is not the right fit. But if you're a type of person who's like, you know what, that's how I learn. Throw me in the fire. I figure it out. Each failure is another lesson for me, and that's how I kind of work. Then that could be something very good for you. And then same thing, if you want to learn fast, maybe a bigger company is not that, because you may be kind of sitting idle for a while. But you do have a lot of time to yourself to learn at your pace. So it can kind of vary.
Someone also asked, I've heard mixed thoughts between mentors and recruiters. What are your thoughts? Was your mentor the reason behind landing your first role?
Well, recruiter is a little bit different. Recruiter is gonna is mainly their main job is to help you find a job. So they'll reach out to you. They may tell you, hey, I got this job, this job, this job, and this job. Send me your resume. I'm gonna submit you for it. They may do a little bit of coaching depending on how familiar they are with the company they're recruiting for. But they're not going to, at least from my experience, they're not mentors. I would, for me personally, I would contribute a lot of my success to my mentor. And it was more or less because of how I viewed it. Like I said before, I wanted to be able to talk to somebody and not have to worry about feeling like, I wanted to talk to a friend. That's the best way I'm trying to say it. And I wanted to be able to be very, very candid with what I'm saying. I just wanted to, if something I don't know, and this guy, I think he was a senior something engineer wherever he was. And a lot of things he would say would go right over my head. Like, I have no clue what you're talking about. And I wanted to be able to just feel comfortable just saying it. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And it never felt like I was, being looked down on. It never felt like I was, it never felt like I was done. Really, what he made me feel like was, oh, that makes sense. Okay, you don't understand. Okay, maybe I'm explaining it wrong. So then he'll try a different method. But it gave me the confidence to go into a room with what I feel like were very, very smart people and just be open. Like, no, I don't know what that is. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, I've heard of that. I've talked about that. It made me relax. It made me feel, because I'm just talking to a person. I'm not, I mean, that's really all you're, interview and everything. They're just people, everybody, like I said, everybody don't know anything, but that's one of the biggest things he helped me with, other than just giving me some advice, hey, I want to do this, do you have any suggestions of what I could do to kind of strengthen this skill? And usually his answer would be, find a project, something to work on, some project to work on. At one point, I remember telling him I have an old computer. I think I want to put a Linux operating system on. He's like, that'll be a good project for you, because if you mess up, you got to figure out how to fix it. You know what? You're right. Stuff like that. Like, it was just little things, just like a conversation back and forth, and that definitely helped me in the long run landing a job, because I wasn't in the interview, or even after the interview while I'm with the company, I wasn't kind of stiff. Felt a little bit more relaxed, if that makes sense.
Someone asked, did you feel like your location held you back? I'm in the triangle too.
No, it's the quite opposite. That's part of the reason why I decided to do Merit, because at least with this area, like I said, you have a lot of tech companies that's here. Of course, the big ones, you got Apple's here, you have Google's here, you have Red Hat is here, you have IBM is here. What is it? Pearson is right down the street. There's a lot of tech companies here. So that didn't hold me back. There's in this area, a lot of meetups. I'm in Durham. So downtown, there's this thing called American Underground. That's a startup meetup. That's basically where, people that's doing startups, and every now and then they have social mixers. They go out there and talk. Meetup.com in my area, I have where there's meetups about from all different areas of tech. So there's like a cybersecurity group that's here. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. They meet once a week, and you can either do a membership or you can just kind of come as a guest. So for my area, no. And now if you are in an area that is not as big as that, there's a lot of things online. Like I said, there's Discord channels that you can do. There's other meetup channels you can do. Go on LinkedIn. There's always a seminar or something somewhere that then can lead you to another thing. The whole point is just, you do have to kind of look, whether it's Reddit, whether it's any forum. I immerse myself. I always say, let me see if I can find somebody, and always feel free to just send somebody a message. Hey, if you ever have time, talk. That's how I found out about the cybersecurity group in this area, is because it was a lady. I just asked her a few questions. She sent me links on links on links. The one thing I will say as well, joining this field, for me, I have yet to come across a person that was not willing to help in some capacity, whether it was just somebody saying, hey, let me send this to you. I would suggest be a person that's proactive. So if they send it to you, look into it, or look into as much things on your own as well. But a lot of people I've met have all this knowledge, and a lot of times they want to share it with somebody, but every time somebody say, yeah, I'm interested in doing this, they're not really interested in their opinion. So when they find somebody that's like, hey, I want to talk to you, you have time, I'll set the meeting, I'll put it on the calendar for you, I'll do all this stuff. In their head, it's like, oh, this person really, really wants to know this. Okay, all right, I got time for you. So depending on your area, definitely just reach out to people, reach out to me, reach out to anybody. And it goes a long way.
Our next question is, how long did it take you to get comfortable with your tech skills?
That entire, probably I'll say 2 years for me. Again, I was a blank slate coming in. The boot camp is fast paced. I am not a person that can cram a whole bunch of knowledge in my head and just be like, I got it. I'm not that. I don't know if any of y'all seen these things like on YouTube where it's like, learn this in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Nah, that's not me. After the boot camp was over, all the things that we learned, I went back and I said, okay, since for me it was programming, I said, I'm about to spend the next 2 months on Java alone. I don't want to think about anything else but Java. And I did that. Then after that, I said, okay, now I want to spend the next 2 months learning about databases. Spend the next 2 months and I do that. Right now, I'll say, you know what? I'm about to spend the next 2 months just going over Linux, making sure I understand, my Linux commands and things like that. After that, I'll say, all right, I want to learn Active Directory. I want to only focus on that. I am a very singular track mind person. So when I have time to focus on something, I take the time to focus on it. So with all that being said, yeah, it probably wasn't until 2 years. So it was a year of me just doing that. Then I got the job. The job that I had, I think our technology at the time was like Java, not Java, JavaScript and other stuff like that. So I had to take time to learn that. The job I have right now, SaaS administration is the big thing. I know nothing about SaaS. That's what all I've been doing for since February is SaaS, just trying to figure that out. So I think the biggest thing I say is, if you can take your time, I get it. It feels like a rat race. It feels like you got to push through it. Everybody make it seem like they pick up stuff just like that. My thing is, if you pick it up just like that, that's good for you. That ain't me. I'm going to pick it up at the pace I can. And because I want to actually know what I'm doing in my job. That's how I've always been. I like to actually know what I'm doing in my job. So if it's going to take me this long, then it's just going to take me this long. Again, I do like to preface that by saying I don't know everybody's situation. Some people are like, no, I got to get this going right now. That's fine. But if you are able to take your time, play around with it, learn, go back to it, put it down for a little bit, do something else, then come back to it. Do whatever you got to do to actually feel comfortable with it. Don't really focus too much on, doing it too fast, at least after you get out of the program. I understand the program is fast, but that's whole purpose.
What were some of your tricks you used when you didn't want to do your coursework or felt like you couldn't concentrate?
A bunch of different things. Sometimes if I could tell I've been reading something for 20 minutes and nothing's happening, I definitely close the computer. I go do anything and everything else. I go run, go play with the kids. I go clean up the house, play some music, play some games, whatever. I shut that part of my brain down. Take a nap. A lot of times, and I'm pretty sure some of y'all probably experience this now, you wake up like, that was the answer. you wake up for some reason with the answer. It's like, okay, now I got it. That's part of my trick. I don't, if I'm in that state where it's not clicking, I can read this for another 2 hours. It's not going to click. It's not going to do anything. So I'll go do something else. That's what I do at work right now. At work right now, like I said, I spend most of my day learning SAS. By 11:40, because it's 20 minutes till lunchtime, it's no point. I'm done. I go and talk to my coworkers for a little while, just see what they're up to. Go talk to my supervisor for a little while, see what he's up to. At 20 minutes till lunch, I go on a walk for my lunch, eat, come back. It may take me another 30 minutes after lunch to really like sit down and say, all right, I'm ready. And music is a big thing for me. So it's really just, not trying to, like, for me, it's not trying to force my mind to do something it's not trying to do right now. I am disciplined enough to know that I'm not gonna, just completely, waste my time. But I could tell if it's not clicking, it's not clicking. And the best thing for me to do is always step away, brain palette cleanser, come back with fresh eyes. All right, now I'm ready to roll again. So yeah.
Can you describe just like what a typical day at work looks like for you?
Right now, typical day. So I'm in a hybrid role. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I go into the office. Tuesday and Thursday, I work from home. Um, uh, I actually want to kind of explain this on two sides. So because both jobs were stark different. Job I had before this was completely 100% remote. There was no clock in time, no nothing. Really, it was a startup, so nobody really was watching over you at all. Same thing at this job. I personally like my job, not for somebody to be standing right here. So that's kind of how I pick my jobs. But yeah, I work with a good team. My supervisor, he has a lot to do. He wants to trust that we're doing our job, so he ain't got to watch over us, and we want him to go do his job. So usually whenever I go into the office, I usually get there anywhere between 8:45, just because, like, drop the kids off, stuff like that. By the time I get there, I usually know first thing I'm gonna do is go over, like I said, some of my SAS things. I have a coworker with me right now. We're getting ready to so it's this thing called hot fixes. It essentially is an update, but it has to be done in a certain order. So I usually go meet with him for a little bit because I know that something's going up, just so I can watch him, because I am a junior. And so and ask him as many questions as possible. And he's probably gonna release the update this time. Next time I'm gonna ask him if I can do it, because I want to get my hands on things and do it. After something like that is done, I go back to what I'm doing. I'm doing a case study right now. They want me to present a case study on well, the one I'm doing is on it was a cyber attack for Citibank in 2019, where AWS employee actually hacked into Citibank and got access to over like 100,000 people's personal stuff. So once again, the company I'm working for is a financial risk company. So I'm going to do a case study on that and present that to everybody next week. So that's something I'm working on right now as well. And then from there, it's a lot of studying for me right now. That's majority of my stuff is studying right now. I am going to be put on a project. Actually, I have a meeting about that tomorrow, first thing in the morning. And I think I'm going to be put on a project with, which bank is this? Brain melt. Crap, I've got to name the bank. I have a green sign. There's a bank I'm going to be put on that project. So I'm supposed to have a meeting about that tomorrow. But it's just me to kind of talk about the scope of the project and what they're looking for from me, and if I have any questions. So that's generally what my day usually consists of. If I don't have any direct tasks, usually I'm studying. If I do have any direct tasks, then that's usually what I'm working on. Again, each company is a little bit different. But the general gist of what I can tell is there is a lot of self-reliance. So you are really in control of yourself, to learn the company, to learn the scope of the company, to learn the technologies that the company use. Like I said, whether it's, Linux based, Windows based, hybrid of both. If there's any special technologies they need you to be able to learn and you don't have that knowledge skill yet, they probably hired you because they believe you can figure it out. So you have nothing else to do, then you're going to go figure out what you need to figure out in order to, be up par. Like I said, a lot of companies usually have people available, say, hey, yeah, ask as many questions as you possibly can to understand anything. So yeah, that's kind of right now what a day-to-day is like for me.
Did you deal with imposter syndrome when entering IT for the first time, and how did you deal with it personally, if you did?
Yes, I got out in front of it. Like I said, I asked questions. I personally don't lie about anything because that's only going to hurt me. So even with this job, let's put it like this. For this job, I had to interview with two senior system admin. They know I've not done anything in this field. They know I come from a programming background. But the thing they liked about me is I did a lot of work on my own. Like I didn't kind of wait for somebody else to tell me. I did a lot of like scouting information out on my own. And I think that's one thing that impressed me. Now, the other thing is the fields are not really, the core of it could be a little bit different, but honestly, both of them require people to solve problems. That's one of the big things. Be okay with learning new things. That's another thing. You really have those two skills and mindset, you can actually do it. So but I definitely had it because I've never done it before. So I don't go into a space thinking I need to make people think I'm the smartest person in the room. Personally, for me, I like being around the smartest person in the room because that's how I learn. They know it, I want to know it, we'll figure it out. But maybe that kind of confidence, just saying the confidence of like, all right, I don't have to be this thing that I'm not. But I know I can do it. The confidence I have is I don't think y'all can tell me anything I can't figure out. That's the confidence I have. So that is the thing that kind of helped me get over my imposter syndromes, because I've gone through Made American program and I didn't know half that stuff, but I figured that out. I got this job over here. I didn't know half that stuff, but I figured that out. I wanted to switch. I didn't know how to do that, but I figured that out. So it's really having that kind of I'll figure it out mindset for me personally that just knocks that whole imposter syndrome down, because for me, I got a goal I'm trying to accomplish. I can't accomplish it if I'm, worried about, what other people think of me and if they think I'm good enough or not. That has nothing to do with me. That's the best way. I hope that makes sense.
What steps on LinkedIn did you use in order to find a mentor?
First thing I did was I typed in software engineer. At the time, I typed in software engineer. And if they were a software engineer, and if we had some kind of like mutual connection, like if it was a complete total stranger, then reach out to that person. Maybe we're like two people we knew or something like that. I'll reach out to that person and say something. When I was going from there to this, same thing, I typed in system administration, or I typed in IT, or I typed in help desk, or I typed in anything related. And if anybody popped up, I'm like, oh, I know that guy. Or, oh, you know this person. I know this person. I reached out, and best thing I say is I tell them what I'm going through. Hey, I was going through this program. This is what I'm learning. I just want to reach out and say hello. If you ever have time to talk or anything like that, that would be very, very helpful. And if they responded, then, like I said, I'm very proactive and say, hey, I have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Is that good for you? And they say, no, I have next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Is that good for you? Like, I was not pushy, but very proactive in saying, like, I'm really serious. I'll set the date and time. That was one way. I'm trying to think, talk to people. I talked to my wife. Well, obviously she knows what I'm going through. Her boss's wife was in cybersecurity. So I said, well, tell your bosses to tell her wife that you have somebody that's trying to get into that. And then when she told me, she's like, yeah, I told her. She said, yeah, reach out to her on LinkedIn. What's her name? I did literally 10 minutes, send her a message. So talk to people, say what you're doing, say what you're going through, because you don't know who knows who, where and there. The old saying, closed mouths don't get fed. Talk, say something, be open, let people know.
When you were searching for your first job, what did you do to stay motivated? Also, if you got down, how did you work through that?
Yeah, that was hard. Okay. So I does Merit America still have a partnership with it was called Job Step at the time? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So at the time, Merit America had a partnership with it was a startup company called Job Step. And I think they have a partnership with other companies that help people find jobs as well. But Job Step was trying something. So um, outside of me just applying, they were gonna apply on my behalf to jobs as well. Like each week they would send me a list of jobs and I say, yes, apply to this one, this one, this one, no, don't apply to that one, that type of thing. I think I said yes to everything. So like I said, I graduated in February of 2021. I had an interview with JP Morgan right out, bombed that interview hard. I had an interview that I got myself with a company called Jagger here in the area. Did okay on that interview, still didn't get it. Had an interview with Google, bombed that one bad, like very bad. I think my interview was only supposed to be a certain amount of time. The guy stayed on the call with me for another like 45 minutes just to work with me. That's how bad. That's how bad. But he liked me. He was like, I could tell you're trying. But bombed that one bad. So that's kind of like that was from February to I think that Google interview was like in October. Did I have a second interview with JP yet? I think I had a second interview with JP Morgan. Failed that one. So then roughly around September, Job Step came around and like I said, came through email through America. I said yes. And they applied on my behalf. They applied, I think I still have the email because they would tell me how many jobs they applied to for me. They applied to, I want to say 415 jobs for me on my behalf. This is 2021. I applied to, I don't know how many jobs. So I always tell people, I think I applied to at least 500 jobs. And I may have only gotten 8 responses for a follow-up interview. Out of 508 responses for a follow-up interview. I may have only had an interview with an actual person 4 times. So that's just let you know, yes, for me, once again, this is not everybody's story, but I share this on my story because again, I wasn't working. I was at home. For a little while I was on unemployment, but unemployment by this point it ran out. I had told my wife, I think it was around January, I said, I have a couple more interviews coming up. If these don't land, I'm gonna figure out something else. Because at this point, it's been a year, it's been over X number. I've only had a certain number of whatever. I can't like sit around and feel like I'm letting my family down. That was me personally. I had my 3rd interview with JP Morgan Chase that was gonna come up in February. And like I said before, interviewing is a skill. So I said, I want this job. For me, that was the job I wanted because they were paying very, very good. And I was like, I want this job and I want that money. And so I was like, I'm not going to mess this up. So I took 2 job interviews before the JP Morgan Chase interview to practice. One of the job was with the company I ended up going with, the startup. They were based out in California. And I got in the interview, and just like how I'm talking to y'all right now, the guy came to the interview, he was like, oh, hey, what's good? Hold on one moment, I gotta do something. And he came back and he just asked me how I was doing. For 30 minutes of the interview, we were just talking. So that felt different and new. And I was like, okay, all right, I like this. And so then he asked me a couple technical questions here and there. My main thing I was gonna have to do with that job was a lot of database stuff. So I told him, yeah, I have some experience with database. It's something I haven't like, I'm not an expert in, but I know enough to, know how to like query a database and things like that. He was like, oh yeah, cool. And just us talking, he was like, he told me, he said, hey, after this, you're gonna hear back I'm gonna go ahead and let you know, I want you to talk to the team. I talked to the team, same thing. Everybody was very comfortable. Everybody was very lighthearted. I felt comfortable, felt very, very comfortable. And it was the first time I think I told my wife, I said, I don't want to jinx it, but I feel like they're gonna give me an offer. And they did give me an offer. So like I said, that was a whole year later, 500 something applications later. Only the second or third actual person I talked to interview versus like a technical assessment or something like that. And I liked them, like I very, very much liked them. But I did say, okay, if they offer me something that I can live with, like something I want, then I think I might take it, because I knew JP Morgan, I knew what they were going to offer me, and I knew I wanted that money wise. And my wife looked at, she was like, I haven't seen you like smile like this in a while and be this happy in a while. If they do, I think you should take it, because I had been stressed out, because I'm studying nonstop, trying to make sure I am ready and prepared for what interview, whatever question they may throw at me. Because you all know, man, this is a lot of stuff to learn. It's a lot of stuff to learn, and you don't know what's going to be asked of you. Each job is different. This job uses this technology. This job uses this technology, and this technology. And it's like, I got to learn this here for this one and this here for there. It can be very stressful. So I just want to let you know, I understand the stress of just applying and then having to do that interview process all over again, and then getting the thank you but no thank you email, or sometimes getting the automated thank you for no thank you email, and just feel like, is this going to happen or not? But yeah, so it was very stressful. I wanted to stop. I had planned on stopping. But luckily for me, like I said, a whole year later and a whole struggle and things like that later, it hopefully that at least that job they offered me, it worked out. But then I had kind of had to go through the same thing again. I lost that job 8 months later because they had to make cuts. And then I wanted to switch completely. So really my mind was thinking, is it going to take another 500? Because I don't know if I have another 500 in me. But I say, you know what, I can't think like that. So I applied. I kept applying. And luckily, and this is what people always told me, after the first one, for some reason it's a lot easier to get the next one. And mainly because you just kind of, know more what to expect. You kind of have more behind your belt, and they may say some of the credentials that you have up at that point, and sorry, something popped up, and get the next job. All right. That's it for now. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
This question kind of ties into what you were just talking about. How did you feel seeing your other cohort members getting jobs so quickly or within a few months of graduation? And what did you tell yourself, or how did you hype yourself up to keep going during a year of trying to land the job?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes there's a little bit of jealousy in there. I mean, I'm human. We're all human. It happens. I mean, there was a couple people. There was one guy, he got a job right out of it. I'm definitely happy for him. He deserved it. To me, in my mind, he was the smartest person in my cohort. Him getting the job didn't make me feel no type of way at all. He deserved everything like he got. I think he still works for JP now. I don't say there was ever a person that I was like, oh, why they hire that guy or something like that. I just knew I just had to stay focused. I already knew I wasn't the smartest one in my class. And again, I'm gonna still put in this work. I mean, that's just the mindset I had to have for me personally. So yeah, it could be disheartening. And if I ever feel like I got to this point where seeing somebody got a job was gonna hurt my feelings, then I'm not gonna look. If I get on LinkedIn, it's to go apply, and then I'm getting right back off. I mean, I remember at one point getting frustrated at seeing like all these, hey, I finally landed the job success stories. That was affecting me after a while, because I'm like, how's everybody finally landing these jobs and I'm not finally landing anything? So if that's the case, then I knew, all right, I need to not be looking at this stuff, because that's not helping me. It's only getting me down. So that's the best way to do it, is if it's bothering you, don't look at it. You can look away, basically.
Which do you like more, fully remote or hybrid, and why? Also, did you feel you had enough support as a beginner when you were remote?
All right, here's how I'm gonna answer this one. The fully remote job, loved it. 100, no unlimited PTO, fully remote. Like I said, there was no clock in time and all this other stuff. great. Now, obviously, you have to be, self-driven, because if you decide you ain't working, then you get fired, basically. So, yes, I love that. Got to make a lot of my friends jealous because they've been trying to figure out what do I do for work, and I was like, I work at home, So that to be honest with you was fun. So I did love that. But I'm a people person. I'm a social person. I like talking to people. Hopefully, as you can see, I can be long-winded. I was missing people. So okay. So that was that job. This job, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, because if we all married America, we're family, and that's how I'm gonna treat it. When I go in the office at this particular job, and it's not because of the office culture, just because for me personally, I am a people person. I get it where it works. So everybody has their headphones on. It's very quiet in there. It's kind of stuffy, in my personal opinion. Nobody's doing anything bad. Nothing bad is going on. Everybody's, been very, very nice. It's just,
Marcus, did you feel like you were supported in your remote job as a beginner?
Yes. There was, like I said, I'll ask a question if I need to ask a question. And then if, let's say, for instance, my direct manager didn't know, he would tell me who know. For the remote job, we use Slack for our communication. I'll Slack whoever the person he said and ask them, hey, you have any time? Let's jump on a call real quick. I got some questions. They always was willing to. So I personally feel fully supported because I am willing to ask. If I asked and somebody told me no or stuff like that, then maybe I would, but I have not ran into that situation. This job, other job, if I ask somebody for time, they'll give me the time that they have. If it's today, if it's in a week, they will open up time for you.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
We have another question. How did you maintain contact with Merit America?
Through the emails, always responding. So even like when they send this email out, this wasn't directly sent to me, but I'll reach out and respond. Two of the coaches that I still, just whether it's on LinkedIn, respond to them on LinkedIn. Just let them know I'm still here. They post something that they've done, send a message. I mean, just that general thing. But the biggest thing is, a couple years after graduating, they still send me things. I still respond. I don't always, because sometimes you get bogged down and working busy, but if I can, I respond and talk to them. Or I think they got a new person that was over alumni. Once I found that out, I sent her a LinkedIn message right away. Just said, hey, Marcus, and we got on a Zoom call and just talked for 20 minutes just to have a quick conversation. She asked me how I was doing, things like that. So that's the best way, just, through emails responding.
I think those are all of our questions we had in the chat. If anyone wanted to come off mute and ask a question, feel free.
I guess
Sure.
I have another. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, good.
Hi, Marcus. Thank you so much for coming and giving this presentation today. I graduated from the Java program, the April 22 cohort. I graduated in November. And right before we graduated, all the layoffs started happening. And it has been a little bit scary, really quite scary. And so much of what you talked about speaks to me directly. And we have a team that came out of our cohort of about 10 of us. I'm going to share with them. I'm going to tell them they need to come watch the video if they're not here today. Some of them probably are, especially when you talk about how many applications, how hard it was to get an interview, bombing interviews, DSA and those online assessments. They are so hard, and your attitude about it is a total winning attitude. It's clear to me you're going to be really successful, and I needed to hear your story from your words to just kind of keep me motivated, because it's so easy to turn on yourself and internalize, hey, not only do I have imposter syndrome, but I really cannot do this. Like, it's just so easy to get that message when it does take you a while, and it is pretty hard. So I think you're really impressive and amazing. And I know you're going to do amazing things, because you're never going to give up. And that's how I want to be too. Thank you.
No problem. And just to say, one thing that kind of helped with that is, like I said, talking to people. So I'll join whatever form or anything. And I talk to people that actually have been engineers or working in the IT field for years and years. And I would tell them about what I was going through in the interview, mainly because feeling like a fish out of water, like this was new for me. I want to know, like, is this the same thing you guys went through that I'm going through right now? And when I tell them about some of the interviews, they all had the same kind of responses, like, yeah, the interview is way harder than the actual job. And they encouraged me, like, just keep going. That's the one thing everybody's always said, just keep going. Just try your best and keep going. And that's what I just try to do.
My question was more, I guess, personal, but I'm moving to the Triangle in July, and I was wondering if there's any companies you would recommend for.
I would recommend, so there's some resources I would recommend. So if you look up American Underground in Durham, North Carolina, like I said, they have their partnership with a lot of startups. They have a job board there as well. So that's one thing I would recommend. Like I said, you have a lot of big companies here as well. What track are you in?
Data analytics.
So, I mean, if you look up the financial risk group, I don't know when their next class is coming through, but like the thing I'm going through, they have a data analytics track. There's a young lady that's in my group that's on that, and she's smart as a whip. I think they do at least 2 classes a year, maybe 3 a year. So that's a company, the one I work for. Honestly, I would recommend that
Recommend
one.
it.
Those would be 2 good resources that I definitely would recommend.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.